These are little Brousseau hinges, and they have a 95-degree stop. It's a real handy thing. You don't have to use any other kind of lid stop. And these are beautifully crafted. They're also expensive, but if you spent many hours on a fine box, it probably deserves these. So I'm going to show you a very simple technique for installing these. I've had students in my classes tell me that this technique was worth the entire week. The ironic thing about it is there are no measuring tools used at all, but I'm going to make my measurements directly from the box itself. I'm going to place the box on the sled. I'm just using it to align the stop block with the cut. This technique involves the story stick, and all it is a little piece of wood. And now when I make this cut, I'm going to check with the box itself and to see if they're exactly the same length. Now, I just need to decide where I want my hinges to go. And if I want them to go something like that and get them perfectly centered, all I have to do is just begin cutting. Oh, that was too lucky. That's what I'm looking for, though. Now, do I have to do that to the other side, do you think? No, I don't. Because this one piece will serve as a setup for the left and the right. That's why I call it a flipping story stick. It tells a story here, you flip it, and it tells a story there. What I have here is a 3/16" straight cut router bit. Now I want to adjust the height to the midpoint on the barrel. So now I need to make the decision how far out I want the barrel of the hinge to protrude at the back of the box. Now I know with this type of hinge you have to have some clearance for it opening and closing. So you also need to think about how thick your box sides are and whether or not this will work. I'm going to bring it out just a little bit. You just want to make sure that this part right here doesn't pinch in opening and closing. Now is when I use my story stick. I check to make sure that the sharp part of the bit they're oriented this way, so that when I put this in place, it gives me the frame of reference exactly where I want to position my stop block. Now I'm going to slide my story stick over. And I'll take another stop block and I'll position it at that side. I want to make sure that my grain is all the right way so I don't accidentally get these reversed. So I'll take the story stick out. Now, if I just put that in and start routing back and forth between the stops, I'm going to have some tear out that happens there that's going to be kind of unsightly. I can avoid that by dropping this down, drilling into that back edge so that it doesn't tear out, it'll drill down. So I just drop it and lower it into place. Then I can push it in. I'm just going very slowly in there, not taking out very much at a time. And moving back and forth. So now I have a chance to check the actual depth and the actual fit. And that's flush, which is a good sign. Now, the next thing I do is I have to do the base. And I do it exactly the same way. Out a bit, then I can push it in. Push it in from this side. So what that gives me is that. So now I need to flip my story stick to be able to do the opposite side. So that is pretty close. Just see what we've done. Chisel the corner square. I'll do the other side. Okay, so I'm going to use this little chisel just to square up my corners. The nice thing is that I've got a nice flat edge there to follow in making my cut. Let me just get that stuff out, and then let me see what I've done. Okay. Okay, now I do that to all four, and I just have to take my time. Fortunately, this is, so much less chisel work than you would normally spend on fitting hinges. Now the next part is just to mark where the screw holes go. Okay. I'll apply the screws to the bottom first, and then I'll be able to apply them to the top by turning it over. So if I put some blocking underneath it, that will help me to hold the back of the box in the right position, at least for the marking. Finish tightening. And then let's check and see how I've done. Okay, now we're ready for the pull that goes on the front. And I'm going to use the same wood that I used in the top panel. This core box bit, so I'm going to try to do all of this handling large stock. I'm not going to try to cut anything on really small stock that would be dangerous. This is the little veining bit. Would be half plus 3/16 on each side. So let me take a little hot melt glue. Put it all off. A bit extra around it, I'll just let it sit for a little while and then wipe. Okay.